Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Closers, where we interview a top performing BDM in the property management space and learn how they are growing their business. I am your host, 𝙍𝙬𝙣𝙧𝙀, and today we have Cassie Parker with Renters Warehouse Hampton Roads joining us. And last month, we are super proud and super excited to announce that Cassie brought on 21 doors. And so I'm going to allow her to say hi to y'all and tell us a little bit more about last month.
Hey, last month was definitely a nice turnaround. I know the past year has been an interesting year for anybody in real estate or property management in general. We all had to get used to, we hate the saying, the new normal, but it's nice to kind of see things track back to the old normal a little bit. So September, we brought on 13 doors, which is above our average during the pandemic of about 8 to 10 doors. And then last month, it just really took off with the 21 doors. So I'm very excited to see things trending in a direction of that nature. It's just nice to see things going into a positive trajectory, because I know during the pandemic, everybody was nervous. They didn't know what to expect with the eviction moratoriums and whatnot. And this kind of turnaround or shift, at least in my market, is showing me that people are getting a bit more confident in investing in the real estate market again when it comes to buying and holding.
So is there anything about last month, Cassie, that you could say you guys kind of made a transition towards that might have helped benefit you guys in bringing on these 21 doors?
We were definitely tweaking different marketing strategies. One of the big things we did, and it was back in August, but you can kind of see how it's played out in the months following. We bought our radio advertising in-house. So we used to have somebody in another market up north that did our radio buying and wrote our scripts and stuff like that for our local DJs to read. And if there was production, she handled all of that. And she was really good at what she did. She definitely got us the best deals as far as pricing goes and everything, but none of our commercials had a very local sound. It was very corporate sounding because it had to match markets across the US, because Renters Warehouse is in different markets, even though we're independently owned and operated here in Hampton Roads. So we were able to take it in-house, write our scripts to make it sound more like we're naming landmarks in the area. People knew we're like right in their backyard. We're not on the West Coast operating on the East Coast. They can come to our door. People, it's just that sense of home that people want to relate to, and we're your neighbors. And so we really drastically changed our messaging and our delivery on things. We've done production commercials and just dry reads, and we all know our local DJs, so they give us a lot of love now. And it's just, I think I don't have the data to back it up yet, but I feel like that's played a large role in the numbers being where they are now. And also, I started a TikTok, so there's that.
I am not too sure if I'm going to be able to get on it, but I do love seeing your TikToks, Cassie. I actually see those come across my Facebook all the time, and you do a wonderful job. So kudos to you. Since you're kind of talking about how, you guys have made this transitioning on the marketing side, maybe this is a perfect opportunity to discuss maybe your guys' top 3 lead sources that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, our top 3 are definitely, it's going to be radio, and it's going to be Google, and then our realtor referrals. I've spent the last year really trying to build relationships with different agents in the market as somebody they can trust with their properties that don't sell, or if they're working with investors that are investing to buy and hold but need a reputable property manager. And when you're an agent, you want to be able to give them everything: a good contractor, a good property manager, a good plumber, whatever. You want to have that name that you give somebody. And I think a lot of people now have started giving them my name or Renters Warehouse's name, and that's been a huge lead pool as well. And I think the reason realtors trust us so much is we don't step on their toes. When these people are ready to sell, we send it right back to them. We give them $500 for sending us the referral in the first place. And so building those relationships has been, I would say, secondary to radio. And then, of course, everybody knows the Google machine and how powerful that tool can be if you use it right. So we've definitely done a lot to spruce up our web presence and be a little bit more aggressive there as well. I would definitely talk to the professionals in our area, the ones that have been doing it for years, because clearly I was just starting. And I heard their message loud and clear about our previous scripts sounding not local. So taking that, I addressed that and I made sure to make us have that local feel. Like I said, addressing local landmarks and vacation spots and stuff like that. And on top of that, I also tried to do a monthly script that is current with, of course, what's going on each month. So during October, we had a fun, self-managing can be really scary, and it had the Halloween feel to it and the evil laughter and the scary spooky noises. So it was fun, and it was produced, and it was going to catch people's attention because it's going to sound different than the ad before it or the ad after it. And then for Thanksgiving, of course, it's all about being thankful and spending time with family. And then all of a sudden your phone rings while you're cutting the turkey and you've got to go fix a toilet. So there's just stuff I've tried to make it specific to the time frame that the ads are playing in, and still making it feel personable, and we're here to help you. And that's kind of the messaging that I have going, and we'll be able to use it year after year. They should be timeless is my hope there. As far as challenges go, I think it's probably what any salesperson deals with when you have a product that really helps people. It's just that people stand in their own way. I think with property management, a lot of the time it either comes down to cost or control. A lot of people don't want to give up control, even though their property can literally just be taking years off of their lives due to stress and stuff like that. And so there was actually one lady I talked to during the eviction moratorium, and she was just like on the verge of a mental breakdown. Like, she was very upset. She couldn't get her tenants out. They weren't paying. And she had a hard time. I told her we could help her, and she had this really hard time giving up control until she finally did. But it took a while, like wearing her down and like talking to her and like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm not just going to take your property and let these people sit in it and continue to not pay you. Because we were able to, after we took over, we were able to get them the RMRP fund applications and get them enrolled so they could start paying back the money that was owed. So it's just so funny to me how people will stand in their own way for such a long time, and how long it can take to build that trust that's needed. So I just think that, and then of course talking to people about the value that we have, because people are always, especially people who self-manage, they're just like, oh, I've been cash flowing this much money and all this stuff, and now I have to pay somebody, and that hits my cash flow. And that, like, really laying it out for them, that time is also money, and breaking down their hourly worth and stuff like that. So I just think those two things are the things that are what holds people back in our market right now. But I think as we're becoming more of a local presence here, that trust is getting easier to build. We're now like more of a household name, and I think people trust what they know, and that's going to be really helping us move forward when it comes to those two. Those are probably the biggest hurdles. I was in real estate. I did traditional sales before I came to Renter's Warehouse. I did the residential sales. And I had one of those just doozies of a month where anything and everything that could go wrong would, like, personally, professionally, it was just like the sky was falling in July. And Russell, our owner, he is just one of those people. He's like an empath. He can really pick up on people's emotions and when you just really need a hug. And so he invited me to lunch one day, and he was just telling me he had this BDM idea in his head that was going to be a new model here because they were doing the agent leasing and whatnot. And he was just like, I just think you'd be great at it. And he was just, either he was really lucky or I was really lucky. I don't know who was more lucky, but he caught me in a moment where I was like, yeah, you know what? I think something needs to shift in my life in a direction. So I came on board here. I was still able to do the residential real estate, which is nice. I didn't have to completely walk away from that life and come here and do the BDM thing with him. And when I started was when they were first starting with rent scale. So they were building their USP and getting their plans together and everything like that as far as going with the BDM model. So I came in right at the start, and it was when Jason Sheffield was still there, and I remember he was helping us build everything out, and met him and Jeremy and Melissa. They all came here, and it was great.
So Cassie, for those who may not know, what is a USP?
It's your unique selling proposition.
And I'm going to totally put you on the spot. What is your guys' USP for Renters Warehouse Hampton Roads?
So we are Renters Warehouse, where we help landlords become better investors.
Awesome. I
Short
thought
and
I was
sweet.
going to get you.
No, that one was definitely ingrained into me back when Jason was helping us put everything together, because we went through a couple of things, because property management, it's such a like versatile thing. So finding that one thing that makes you different than everybody else, we really, really want to help people become better investors. And in our market specifically, because we are such a large military market, people become unintentional landlords. So they bought their home thinking they were going to be here for a while. And then, surprise, 6 months later, you get orders and you're going across the world. So they don't have the equity to sell. And so they kind of stumble backwards into property management or to being landlords. And it's just nice to get those people that really don't know where to start. And then by the time, they've been with us for a year or so, they're now investors. And, a lot of times we can talk them into, do you want to do it again? Do you want to get another property? Like, do you want to build your portfolio? You realize you can retire on this. You'll get out of the military and you'll have that retirement, and then you'll have your income coming in from your investments, and you'll be a millionaire in no time. I think I'm very happy that they had already started the conversation with Scale Club, and it was something that was already in motion when I started. So it was just like, oh, this is just part of my job. It wasn't anything new. It was just very much, this is part of my job. Every Wednesday, I'm going to meet with somebody and we're going to talk about selling property management, because I was in real estate. I was nowhere near property management before. I was terrified of property management. I just wanted to sell houses. So it's just very nice to meet with other BDMs in the, all across the country and hear everybody's war stories. And it was definitely nice, because right shortly after I started, about 6 months later, we hit the pandemic. And so it's just like, great, now I have this new product that I'm selling in a very volatile market. And Jeremy had the boot camp for selling during a pandemic and whatnot. And it was a lot of helpful information, and being with some seasoned people that, not necessarily they had been through a pandemic, but they knew how to sell in hard times, sort of deal. So it was just nice to be able to bounce ideas off people, steal good ideas. And I've definitely taken a couple of lines from other Scale Club members, and I've used them to close calls before. So,
but is there anything that you would like to share, Cassie, that maybe you would recommend to anybody who is in the property management space that is looking to be a business development manager, or is one, that you would like to share?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one, you can never have too much training as a salesperson. I just feel like if you ever think you're the best, you probably want to think again and still go get coaching. I mean, the best people have coaches have coaches. So I think definitely getting involved with something like Rent Scale or getting in Scale Club can definitely help you better yourself and better your craft and your skill. And I will say, if you are not currently in property management, but you're looking to be a BDM, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. There's an emotional roller coaster. Every day presents its own unique challenges. There's no 2 days that are the same in property management. So definitely like put some thick skin on and get out there and sell. And then another thing about sales is, I think one of my big takeaways, and I think this came up in the lead gen boot camp thing, but selling should be fun. And I know I've definitely beat myself up because I don't want to do cold calls, and there's certain things in sales that nobody likes to do. And I used to beat myself up about it, but I'm not a cold calling type of person. I'll talk to a brick wall, but I hate cold calls. And so my prowess is creative. Like, I like doing the social content, writing the radio scripts and stuff like that. Stuff like that for me is what I'm passionate about. And, passion is going to equal sales. Like, what you're passionate about is going to equal you closing doors. And that's kind of like my big takeaway that I've had is do what you're good at and it'll produce. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're not passionate about something, like if you're cold calling, and people can feel your energy on the other line. So they're just like, she don't want to be on this call any more than I do.
You guys heard it from Cassie herself, but I'm going to go ahead and recap everything for you anyway. But sounds like things are getting back on track to the old normal. And this turnaround and the shift in her market shows her that people are getting confident again with investing in the real estate market. And the opportunity to shift their marketing strategy this last August by bringing their radio marketing and scripting in-house, providing a very homey, a very local sound versus a commercial sound, was the opportunity for them to stand out in their local market and develop a relationship with their local DJs for the best quality and service, allowing them to crush their October 2021 goal. The top 3 lead sources that they utilize would be radio, Google, and realtor referrals. She has spent the last year building relationships with realtors in the area, and she has built her name in order to utilize that resource and being loyal to those realtors as well. And taking that extra mile as a BDM in the space, providing job security in the end, you cannot beat that. The challenges right now would probably be around cost or control, but this is where the training and the education comes into play to portray ourselves as a trusted advisor in the space in order to help those owners who aren't willing to give up that cost or control. And the local presence has helped build their name, seeing it more as a household name versus a commercial brand. And she has been in Scale Club for 2 years now, and she was in real estate doing traditional real estate via traditional sales. The importance of a USP, as Cassie states, property management is a versatile thing. So finding that one thing that makes you different from everyone else and helping their clients become better investors, specifically in their market, which is largely a military market, which has a way of making people accidental landlords. And by the time they have been with Hampton Roads for a year, they're ready to do it again. Providing the education on how to be an investor. She was in the real estate and terrified of property management, and it was nice for her to have the other BDMs to collaborate with in our Scale Club community, to hear their stories and helpful feedback and ideas. And as luck would have it, a pandemic hits, and with that, Jeremy was able to come in and talk about how to sell during a pandemic during one of our Rent Scale boot camps. And I'll leave you with Cassie's words of wisdom. You cannot have too much sales training. The best people have coaches, and coaches have coaches. And being a BDM is not for the faint of heart. No 2 days are the same in the property management industry, but selling should be fun. Passion equals production and closing doors. Do what you are good at, and it will produce. Thank you guys again. I am your host, 𝙭𝙯 𝙭𝙀.